Hello and welcome to this presentation. My name is Dave Renninger. I'm the application specialist for the engineering segment here at Tekla Inc. This is a fourth video in our series showcasing Tekla structures for the engineering market. In our previous videos, we explained how to model in steel framing, concrete framing, and also how to insert reference models, which we can see exist in this model here. In this video, we're going to explain the clash detection functionality inside Tekla structures. Now, when it comes to clash detection, there's a lot of different options we have here inside Tekla. We can run clashes between our native Tekla objects. We can also run clash detection between our native Tekla objects and our reference models, or we can run clash detection between reference objects and models themselves. All right, so depending on where we're at in our workflow, we have a lot of different options to what we want to do. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to open up my advanced option. I'm going to search for the word clash up here and just here in all categories. So here you can see a lot of some of these different options that we have as well. So as you can see here, clash between parts, this is when we actually want to turn this off. Being as we don't have any connections in our model right now, it's all going to clash. Now we also have some options now. Do we want to run clash detection between reference models? So if we had more than one reference model in this Tekla model, do we want to run clashes with that? Could be good depending on where we're at. Also here we can run clash detection inside reference models. So even though this piping model was created in another software, I can actually run a clash detection inside Tekla structures and see if the piping interferes with itself. Now that's not what we're going to be doing in this example. All we want to be checking here is, does our preliminary framing design work with this piping concept that we got from our piping subcontractor? Okay, so now that we've changed that advanced option, all we need to do now inside Tekla is we're just going to come through, we're going to select the framing here around our reference model here, and then simply right click in our view and run clash check. So now the Tekla is going through and it's scanned this model to see any issues that are clashing, any of our framing that's actually clashing with our piping model. Okay, so what I'm going to do here real quick, just to make this easier to see, is I'm going to change my view representation inside my 3D view. Okay, so now as I select these items here, these rows inside my clash check manager, we'll see here that the actual items that are clashing are actually getting highlighted and being easier to see here inside the model. Okay, so 11 clashes here of our framing interfering with our piping. Okay, so what we can do inside the clash check manager, we have a lot of different options here. We can status and prioritize our clashes, as well as add notes and comments to them as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is maybe we'll come through and change the status of all these clashes inside our manager. So I'm simply just going to hold down shift and select all the rows here and right click on my status. I have a couple different options what I can do here. So being as we just ran this, I'm just going to come through and set all these statuses here to be assigned. So I can go through and assign them. Now, since I've assigned these clashes inside my clash check manager, I also want to assign these clashes inside my Tekla model. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm actually going to come through in the beam properties or the part properties. In the user defined attributes, we have an option in here for clash management. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to set the clash status for all of these objects here in the model to be assigned as well. All right, so I'm just going to modify this here. And so now that I have that information tagged to these members in the model, this is what's nice about this now is that I can actually colorize my model view by this clash information as well. So now if I just come back and change this to color by clash status, we'll see here, now all my objects here that have that clash are now going to show up red. Again, it's going to make it much easier for the rest of my team to visualize and see exactly what is going on, what members need to be looked at, and easier to process and digest this clash check. Okay, we can also come through here as well in the priorities. We can set high, medium, and low depending on the severity of these clashes. Okay, so now we've gone through the model. We've made some changes to hopefully prevent and fix these clashes we had. So just kind of give you an overview of what we've done. We've added some penetrations here to where some of these pipes were clashing with the beam webs here. So you can see we've added some nice reinforced openings here. We've revised some of these top of steel elevations as well to move them down for the mechanical units. We've also revised the framing here around this tank as well. So we added some intermediate beams and shortened some of those other beams that were actually running through the tank. Okay, so now that we've gone through and we've actually we've updated all of our framing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run another clash check and see if we actually did fix these and how many clashes actually still might exist. Okay, so again, we're just going to repeat that process that we did before. So we'll just rotate our model view here. We'll just come through and select this area of the model. All right, so now we're just going to come through and we're just going to run the clash check again. Okay, so now that it's going through and run this clash again, what we can actually see here is that it's actually changed some of these flags over here to show that these clashes have been fixed. So again, let me just come back through and let's change this representation again. So now if we click on these items here, now we can see that those clashes that were on these items before are no longer a clash. We've actually resolved these. Okay, so we can actually sort this list then by those flags as well. You'll also notice down here we actually have a new clash now as well. Actually, that beam that we added actually does clash with this piece of piping here as well. So even though we fixed a lot of these clashes, we actually still did create a new clash. Okay, but don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so what we're going to do now that we fix these clashes here, again, we're just going to select these items here in the model. And we're going to come through just like we did before, how we changed that clash status. So again, we can come back in here as well to the user defined attributes. We'll come back to our clash management. Instead of being assigned, we can now set that these are fixed and modify those items here in the model. And then again, we're also going to come in here in our clash check manager and we're going to set these to be fixed as well. Okay, now something else that we can do, which is nice, is we can also right click on these groups here and we can actually group them together. Okay, so we can group all these items together as a clash here. Okay, and then the same thing here, now that we're just kind of coming through here as well, we can also set these other clashes here and sort these and see what exactly is the issue. And as we can see, it's basically because of some of the way that this piping is being routed here, that's what's causing these other clashes. Okay, so what we can do now, similar to what we did with that other clash before, we're actually going to group these clashes together. We'll set these all here to be assigned, and we'll come through here and let's just modify this new beam as well that's causing this clash, and let's just modify its properties as well. Okay, so we'll come back in the user defined attributes in our clash management, set that to be assigned. Okay, so now that we can come back here, now that we have some issues that we actually can't resolve just within revising our Tekla framing, this is something we actually need to coordinate. This is a bigger issue we need to coordinate with our piping contractor. Okay, so again, what's nice, what we can do is we're just going to group these together, these clashes here, these actual clash. We're now in here, right click and open up the clash information. Okay, so now we can see all the items in here as well, which items are clashing with each other, more detailed information as well, and we also have some comments and also the history of the clash as well. So what's nice now is we come through here in the comments, we can just say here, coordinate with piping, and can this be moved? Okay, now this is just kind of adding a note here inside the clash check manager, but again, then we could follow this up with a former RFI, whatever our workflow might be. But again, now we have that information here in our clash check manager as well. Okay, so now we're going to close out of this, and then again we have the option here where we can save this clash check and see exactly what it was like at this date and time as an example. Okay, well, this concludes our clash detection video. Our next video in our series is going to deal with the analysis and design links inside Tekla. So thanks again for watching.